G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing? Today we get to have a bit of fun in the sun that isn't really around on this lovely white R7. Now, she's a little bit different to the usual bikes I ride. Sports bikes I'm definitely the most awkward on because I don't ride enough of them yet, but that's how you learn these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this for a cheeky little ride just around this area. There's not much to this place, unfortunately. There's no fancy roads, nothing like that, but we can enjoy what we do have. So I'm going to do a cheeky little U-turn through this zone through here, and we'll see what happens. Ooh, foot peg placement. Yep, I'll figure that out eventually. Oh, don't mind me, Nathan. Oh, every time I've ridden a Yamaha bike so far, I've stalled, so except for the MTs. I've stalled the R1 and I stalled the R7. I'm going to keep that in there because it's funny. Now this bike's it's been modified ever so slightly. It's got an R6 throttle tube. Obviously it's got an exhaust because all good R7s have exhausts. And it's got some sliders. There was another mod. I just don't remember what it was. But we're going to go take this for just a cheeky little up and around the bend. If I miss shift, don't at me. I don't ride sports bikes, so my feet are not used to these positions, as I'm already missing things. Let's get on the beans a little bit. Oh yeah, this thing has a nice amount of torque on it. Hold on. That's the bloke there. Alrighty, so getting us started on the R7. It is a light bike, alright? It feels really nice. The torque is fantastic off the go. I'm actually a rather large fan of said power. Now, being the restricted version, obviously the horsepower isn't as high as it could be, and of course it's missing ever so slight amounts of torque, and that's because, well, the engine CCs are slightly smaller than the other one because, well, I think they sleeved it because of the with the Australian Lambs laws, you have to have a bike within 660cc. So I think this comes in at like 659-ish, somewhere around there, because, well, got to make these regulations. Now this R7 has 4,700 kilometers. He's just done a track day on it. You got a nice TFT display on this thing, honestly. I think it's a TFT considered, but or just a Digidash. Either way, it's really nice. I'm a big fan of this thing. Now, the one thing I don't understand with R7s is why they didn't do the carved like thing there on the forks, because even the R3 I think comes with that, so it's a bit of a strange choice. Oh boy, I tell you what, the seating position isn't as uncomfortable as I thought it was going to be. But in terms of beginner sports bikes, now look, the R7 is definitely a taller motorcycle than a lot of the bikes. I can flat foot one leg, I can't flat foot both, and that's, well, just your standard sports bike things, okay? Now, coming into a seating position for learner bikes, let's get this a bit more of a... Oh, let's not go too fast now. That thing likes to take off. In terms of learner sports bikes, all right, the R7 is definitely one of those more intense seating position ones compared to something, say, like your R3s, your CBR 650s. God knows they're not sports bikes in terms of seating. Your RC390s and all those things. This is one of the more intense seating positions, I dare say, compared to the competition it's facing. But I've ridden a few of these kind of bikes now, and I can't say I find them uncomfortable. Now, obviously, they're a little bit more wristy than my bike in terms of your weight, but remember, when it comes to sports bikes, you are supposed to hold yourself up with your legs, okay? So you're not supposed to just be all on your wrist all of the time. You are supposed to have some level of sense when you hold yourself up. So you have to use your legs to hold yourself, and it will alleviate some of that tension on your wrists over the long periods of time. Now, 40 zone here. We're going to do a delicious U-turn when I find a side street that will let me go in it. I don't want to have to come down this way. Now, obviously, if you're doing a ride on one of these and you're going to do a big one that's going to take you all day, now, look, I can foresee potentially having some issues there, all right? And that's completely fine. I almost missed that shift just then. Because I am not used to having to put my thing so low. Am I in? Let's do that. Woo! I did not pick the best side street to do this in. But that's okay, we can do this. Oh, dude, I can only imagine the amount of fun one can have on this as their first bike. Now, look, the R7 is probably teetering on the more advanced beginner bike category because it isn't a weak bike, and if you're in a country that doesn't have the low-powered version, it's definitely a little bit much if you've never ridden a bike and you have no, semblance of sensibility, because this bike can get away from you if you're not careful, and it's not a lot, it's not super scary, but it definitely has the potential to take you off guard if you're not really prepared. So this bike, because of its mountain of torque, you can get the old whiskey throttle and it can pop your front wheel up if you're not careful, okay? Now, unfortunately for some people, that means it's a bad day. For most of us, we're probably not going to hit that whiskey throttle, okay? And there's nothing wrong with doing the old whiskey throttle here and there, as long as you don't have anything happen, like you don't crash and you don't drop it and you don't hit something, you know, something like that. Hitting a whiskey throttle in a parking lot's fine, but it still scares the shit out of you nonetheless. So I'd rather, if you're starting bikes and you have no idea on what you're doing, perhaps an R7 might be a little intense for you, but come on people, don't make me wait. One thing that people might know is I actually thought about getting myself an R7 at one point, because I think they're wicked bikes. I do like them quite a lot. I like the styling of these generation Yamahas. Now, in terms of street motorbikes, I think the R7 is actually an ideal middle ground. Now, everyone bitches and moans that it's not, you know, oh, it's not an R7, oh, sorry, it's not an R6, it's lacking power. Like my brother in Christ, this bike, just because the number bigger don't mean it's meant to replace the R6. This is a street motorcycle before it is an R6 replacement. Just because the number's bigger does not necessarily mean that this motorcycle here is the replacement for the other. They only took the other one away because of the emission stuff and lack of purchasing, whereas the R7 is a much more purchased street bike. Sure, it isn't as fast, but guess what? It's way more usable on the road, and that's what makes a better street bike. So it has plenty of power that's usable, which is a thing that the R6's power was sort of lacking, because let's be honest, I missed that shift. Because, well, let's be honest, man, if you're revving the shit out of your motorbike just to hit the, why is my indicator still on? Don't miss turning that off. If you're revving the tits off your bike just to go, like, anywhere, well, tell me where and when you're going to be using that in a realistic sense. Whereas this bike, you just sort of, you're in a lower gear, that's okay, you can boogie. You're in a higher gear, well, you're still going to boogie, you're just not going to boogie as much. And, like, look, I'd much rather have a bike that has torque that I can use than torque that's out of my legal using range. And that's the only downside I find to a lot of these high power bikes. And after riding a lot of them, dude, I'd rather have to shift a little bit more. Now, I'm not talking shifting like and you would at 125 or something. That's perhaps a little bit too much shifting. Oh, I tell you what, riding a motorcycle like this does definitely put a smile on one's face. Now, like I said, now that I've ridden it for a few minutes now, it's not uncomfortable. I think it's actually rather well seated. If you've got really long arms, it's probably going to be more comfortable. If you've got shorter arms than me, well then you're probably going to have a bad day. I've got longer arms for my body, so I don't find it too bad. I'm still quite upright. The leg position's a bit odd for me because, like I said, I'm not used to having my feet in a sporty position. But I'll tell you one thing that the Yamaha R7 does really well, and that's oh, that bark that it has in this crossplane engine. Now, when I do this on my bike, watch the difference, all right? I've done it in a few videos now, but I'm in third gear. If I rev it, what do you notice? I jump forward. Now, this bike engine's only slightly, you know, bigger than mine. Now, my one is a 471. This is a 659, I think, this specific one. Now, it's not a lot of difference in cc's, but brother, you can feel it. I feel like a real torque bore now, and this is nothing compared to that Harley I rode in terms of torque, and even that MT10 had some unbelievable power. But this thing, dude, it feels really planted, it feels really nice. Now, I'm not sure what it's going to be like on the side of the tire. Now, obviously, it's a sports bike, so I'm assuming it's going to feel fantastic, okay? If you're expecting a sports bike to not do well in the twisties, well, you bloody got your views all kinds of sideways. Whereas, you know, sports bikes, you know, they're pretty comfy for that kind of riding. They're not designed for, you know, really intense city riding. They're designed for you more on the side of the tire, sending it around corners and the twisties. So I think it's a little bit of a different experience to see me just going up and down the beach straight here, because, well, this is just where we, oh no, don't tell me that I didn't get, I love lights that make you wait just to tell you can turn later. Ugh. But yeah, I thought we'd go down to the beachy areas. Now, I don't know if this is the right one that I can go through. I don't think I made the right decision. I think I went down the wrong one, but that's okay. Oh, I need to come down these ways more often. Well, let's test my U-turnability on this R7 here, because I know my R1's abilities were not the best. Okay, look, not horrible, not horrible. I could be better, but like anything, my U-turn ability is not the greatest on a good day. Oh, damn it, I went down the one street too early. That's all right. Dude, I like how this thing feels. It's almost dangerous. Hello, hello. Let us boogie into this next area. One more pull for the boys. Oh. Now, the issue with a bike like this is it's very, very entertaining. Every twist of the throttle has got just enough of a pull to keep you smiling. Now, it's not going to throw you into some next level of plane of existence like an R1 would, but believe you me, this is all you need to enjoy yourself. Now, I've been told by another bloke that I'm mates with who rides an R1 and an R7, and he prefers this bike as a regular ride. Because he goes, well, he's a stunt rider as well, he likes that torque of the R7. But he goes, you know what? Once you ride one of these on the street, it's really hard to find an excuse not to, because it's just got that much playful power that you can enjoy everywhere in the rev range. Let's see if this person's going to see me, because I'm on a nice white bike. Thank you. Last thing I want is for someone else to let me ride their bike and then find out that there's been an accident. This cross-plane engine is an addictive little sound. I'm going to do one more little loop and then we're going to wrap this one up. But in terms of this bike, now dude, look, my first impression of this motorcycle are nothing but positive so far. I think this is a bundle of joy for what it is. You can get one of these for a similar price to my Honda Rebel. I think you can get them secondhand for the same price as my Honda Rebel, because I've seen a few secondhand full power ones for $10,000. Now I think the Lambs ones go for a similar-ish sort of cost. And my brother, if you're looking at a Lambs approved sports bike, this thing is absolutely on the radar. I think you should go for it. Now, being a de-restricted throttle plate with the R6 throttle tube, it's got a little bit more as opposed to the standard one, because the standard one I think you only get, he was saying 60% of the throttle, which look, you're still going to get a lot out of it. But if you're going to enjoy a bike, you want to have access to everything. So when you do, you get to enjoy doing stuff like that. Now, I'm pretty sure this motorbike you can buy a quick shifter for. Now, I think it's only a quick shift off, but let's be honest, having a quick shifter at all is nice. I'm not really a fan of quick shifters, mainly because I don't use them, so they feel foreign and weird to me. So it's not a bike problem, it's a me problem. So take that information as your, but I'm pretty sure the R7's quick shifter is purely just a upshifter, which is fine, because let's be honest, you're fanging it up the gears a lot of the time. Whereas when you're going down the gears, you can be a little bit more, you know, tame. It's a brother, boys, a brother with his high torquey boy. Oh, I'm gonna do another U-turn, mainly because every time I turn around, it gives me another chance to really enjoy that first gear up to the speed limit, which is a shame because this area is only 60. I need to stop picking my first ride areas in 60 zones because it's a kind of pain in the ass. Now, I know the beach is obviously not the most common location to take a bike for a test ride, but ooh, that's a nice view down there, isn't it? You know, I'm gonna go down there and do a U-turn down that way, mainly because you get to look at the water. Yeah, this was a good decision. Unfortunately, I picked a really gloomy morning, well, it's an afternoon now I suppose, to come out to do a video, but we just needed to do something. It's nice, it's very nice. Alright, let's go bring this home to the boy and let him know our thoughts. Woohoo! Oh man, this thing, it's got an addictive personality, and I'm almost tempted to just be like, I'm taking it for a longer ride, but I said I wouldn't be too long with it because that's the joys of a first impression. Now, because I chose a first impression to do a sports bike in a not so sporty area, I sort of did it on purpose because I was going to talk about this last little ride about how good this is for beginners. Now, a lot of beginners don't just do track sessions and canyon sessions. They do a lot of, you know, standard commuting, like what this basically is. Oh, she's got me giggling like a schoolgirl almost. Because this thing, as a commuter, look, on a long commute, you're probably going to end up with a sore back, and that's just sports bikes, all right? Everyone's human. That's just not, that's life. But if you're just doing small stints to work and stuff, dude, this bike is fantastic. And the best thing about it is, if you're enjoying commuting with this thing, then you get to have the weekend and take it to the twisties. Mate, this thing is fan-fucking-tastic. I would buy one in a heartbeat. And I have thought about it. Genuinely, because it's cheap. I can enjoy one, I can buy one for not much more than I can sell my bike for, get the full horsepower version, and I can have a grand old time, because I think they look really nice. They sound fantastic, okay? I think the sound is definitely one of their appeals. Their noise is just icing on the cake. But dude, you can get in a good tuck, you can get a good stint in the twisties, you can get a good commute out of it. It's a good all-around bike. It's not stupidly uncomfortable like some people say it is. I actually think it's rather okay. But dude, I'm loving it. I know when he watches the video later, he's going to be like, you funny bugger, you really liked that bike, didn't you? I'm like, yes I did. Same thing as here. All these brakes are a little bit more bitey than my bike, that's for sure. And that's not a bad thing. Look at that slow speed U-turn, still made the turn. Remember how I said you can get better by practicing? I need to practice. Let's park this back, shall we? One more for the boys. That sounds very nice. That's a weird thing that I'm not familiar with, is having the lever for the stand in between everything. So let's turn this off now. That thing is a fantastic little ride. Now, I love the yummy blue version, but this white one does do me a fancy, and that chromy looking exhaust is very complimentary. But yeah, you got the nice little sliders. The R6 throttle tube, as he said, he needs to glue this down because he hasn't got the grip glue on it. But hey, look, man, I didn't really notice it whilst riding. Brakes, so much better than that bike. You can't dispute it, because mainly, come on, man, you got twins versus a single one up the front. You got these lovely little stealth indicators. Man, I had a good time. But yeah, look at it. It's a good looking bike. Like I said, this is the one thing I wish they changed. I don't know why they did that just for the R7, but hey, man, I'm not Yamaha. This is nice. Master cylinder's fine. Unlike the Ducati, it doesn't actually rub on this thing, which is an odd choice from Ducati, but this one's fine. A little storage section down the back, and I think that's pretty much all I need to talk about it. But dude, you got your menu buttons. I didn't really play with the menus. I don't really want to touch settings on bikes I'm not too familiar with, but you can see compared to the Rebel, size-wise, it's a sports bike, alright? Comfort-wise, it's a sports bike, but it's not uncomfortable. Around town, you are always in a Playful rev range. It's fantastic. I would recommend it if you're looking at one as a commuter bike and you like your sports bikes. I think the R7 wins, dude. The Daytona 660 might catch your fancy, but I think the 660 is just a little bit of a letdown compared to the old one, so that's my opinion on that matter. But yeah, if you're looking at a sports bike, dude, the R7 is fantastic. I actually really like that. Coming from the R1 and trying this thing, hands down, this is a much more playful bike for legal riding, and that's more of a duh situation, but dude, don't sleep on the R7. It's a great bike that's been heavily criticized for the way it came in and the bike it's quote-unquote replaced. But no, I reckon the R9 is more of an R6 replacement than this. This is just its own category. Brilliant street bike, lots of fun, great sound, feels good, rides well, and honestly, I'd recommend it. Otherwise, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Do take it easy, keep it cheesy, enjoy, and have a good one. Peace, bye!